Hello and welcome to our exclusive webinar. My name is Rahim Lakhani. I'm the president and CEO of the Lakhani Group Portugal, signing in from beautiful Lisboa today. I'm the moderator for today's evening. So welcome everyone to this exclusive webinar that we have. We are blessed today to have a panel of expert lawyers here as our guest speakers. What we will discuss today, we have had a lot of questions, a lot of queries, a lot of inquiries, and we'll get to that. But what we'll be discussing today is the big topic, the end of Golden Visa program in Portugal. Is it already the end? What are the potential implications, ramifications of several announcements that have been made? What projects are qualified, not qualified? What is Golden Visa? Some people haven't actually heard about Golden Visa until they talked about stopping Golden Visa. So many things, so many excitement that we have today. But before we dive into the webinar, let me do a quick temperature check. We would love to request you to turn off your audio and video, cell phones, everything kept away for the next hour and a half. Keep your phones on silent mode and get the most of the webinar. Put all your questions out there on chat, on LinkedIn. We are live on YouTube. We're live on many platforms here. So keep those questions coming, and we will get it towards the end. And if there are super urgent and conversational, we will also bring them in right away as well. Now, as appealing as Portugal is, and in providing the best investment and immigration options, we have this news about the Golden Visa and the end of Golden Visa. So let's hear it from the expert panel that we have. I am more than happy to actually introduce. So let me begin with Sandra Jardim Fernandez. She is a lawyer, and she is the head of investments at VCA, as well as SJF Immigration and Investments. She specializes in immigration for several years. She's represented many Golden Visa clients. She's an expert at corporate law. We also have in the lineup Dr. Armando Silva. He is a senior lawyer at Tamia International. He's had over 8 years of experience in real estate law, in commercial and corporate law as well, with multiple firms. He's worked with multinational companies in the real estate market, and now he's the legal counsel at Tamia International. We also have the expertise from Aparcel. We have Dr. Ardiano Vieira from Aparcel Uniart and Sol. He has postgraduate degrees and experience in real estate and security laws and banking laws as well. He has over 10 years of experience in consulting for immigration and citizenship program, and he's represented several investors. And last but not the least, we have Dr. Marli Esteves as well from Pact Uri de Cunha. She's a graduate in law and master's in legal sciences by the faculty of Universidade Católica Portuguesa. And also she is a postgraduate in legal sciences by the faculty of law from the same university. And her experience is largely in immigration, in foreigners law, in tax, in real estate and corporate as well. So, wow, we have experts here. We have geniuses, and we have people who basically know immigration inside and out. So we are super blessed on having an expert panel here. Allow me to give a few seconds in that order to give a quick introduction, and then let's get on to the burning questions. So why don't we have Dr. Sandra to go first, please?
Hi, thank you for this, Sandra Jardim Fernandes. I'm co-heading VCA on the immigration department. Like my years of real estate, that was my since the very beginning. And I came to immigration exactly because of the Golden Visa program. because it was based on since then, we've been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients. It went through two different law firms, but since just BCA law firm. And our immigration department, we have 15 working with the different immigration. Of course, one of them is still. Thank you.
And Dr. Armando, please, quick
Hi.
introduction.
Hi, of course, thank you. First of all, I would like to thank you for the invitation as well as thanking all the people who are watching the webinar. So as Raim already told you, I'm Armando, I'm a lawyer, and I have more than 8 years of experience in real estate law, in commercial and corporate law, and spread among two different law firms, as well as a multinational company widely recognized in the real estate market, and now working as a legal counsel for Tamia International. As for Tamia International is a real estate boutique providing a commercial advice in the most diverse transactions, with focus on real estate as well as a full spectrum of property management services. We are a company with a strong international focus, orientated to procurement, whose goal is always to provide the best possible service to our clients. And we mainly work with the so-called private clients, through high net worth individuals and wealth managers and so on.
So, first of all, I'd like to thank all for being here today. Thank you for the invitation. Thank my colleagues, and thank for the audience. I work as a lawyer for immigrations and investments for almost a decade, and the Golden Visa came almost on this period of time as an opportunity for investments to Portugal and also the opportunity to live in Portugal. Beside that part of Golden Visa, also I have experience in the other kinds of visa and citizenship. But yes, the main focus has become Golden Visa from investment funds and from construction and development of properties. I would say right now we have an unique solution. And yes, that's a moment of anxiety for the clients and for all the market from the Golden Visa. But our obligation as lawyers is to provide them the best comfort possible and legal solution for this, let's say, different time. Because right now the things are a little different than usual, but we are prepared to solve the problems.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you very much for the invitation. Hello for my colleagues and for the audience. I think that this webinar is very useful to help the audience to clarify some doubts that it's in the order of the day in Portugal. Pactori de Cunha, it's my law firm. I work since 2013 with immigration issues and nationalities and real estate. And our law firm for more than 10 years that the firm has specialized in advising on foreign investments and planning operations or restructure assets high network clients in order to optimize our investment and access possibilities, risks, and contingencies. So we are totally deal with all these kind of issues. So we are here to help you and help everybody to clarify all these issues right away.
Let's get the cat off the bag, and ask this question. Thank you so much, first of all, for being here, everyone. Thank you so much for and to our audience to listen in. And we already are starting to get a lot of questions. So let me just put it back again. This time maybe starting from Dr. Marley. What is the announcement from the Prime Minister, and what is your interpretation about the announcement? Please, Dr. Marley, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so this is a measure, okay, that it's an idea that the Prime Minister told that became from the Council of Ministers, okay. It's a measure that it's in a house package of new rules and implementations that they want to do in Portugal. Okay, they want the idea that the Prime Minister said is that the golden visa, they want to end the golden visa in order to help to combat the speculation. Okay, this is a very initial it's a very initial thing. Okay, it's not law, it's not a decree law, it's not we don't have any legal material to analyze. Okay, it's only idea that we know that the Prime Minister wants to do it. Okay, and what we know at this stage, it's all very initial. Okay, we have to wait until these kind of ideas be concretized. Okay, and to help people to understand what is the next step. Okay, we know the thing, the two bullet points that we have in the document that has been sent to the media. It's regarding the idea. It's to maintain the renewal of the permanent owner occupied housing. Okay, for the person, or in to be if the house has a lease agreement for 5 years, it could be renewed, the golden visa. Okay, the other alternatives, we don't know nothing yet.
Let's ask the same. Thank you so much, Dr. Marley. Let's ask the same question to Dr. Adriano.
Okay, what's my point about the announcement of the Prime Minister? Portugal has, Bashar, a serious housing problem, so that the price of the properties and the rents here in Portugal have been rising much faster than the capacity of the population to afford them. As a result also of the immigration and the interest in living in Portugal, the demand for the houses are much higher than the availability of houses. So that there are more people trying to buy house or to get leasings here in Portugal than the possibilities and the availabilities of house. So for this situation, I think right now it's more a political situation, and the problem for the golden visa is to have someone to be the guilty of this process. We do not know, as my colleague has said previously, how it's going to be in effective ways, because it's just an announcement from the Prime Minister. That's a very important announcement. It's going to start a process to do a lot of change, not only in the golden visa, but in all the housing markets here in Portugal, and the golden visa is also part of it. So what we can advise to our clients, and what we're saying today is that right now the things is still the same. It might change on the near future, but right now let's keep the same trace we have been doing.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adriano. And Dr. Armando, what are your thoughts?
All right, thank you. So as my other colleagues was telling us, is on the 16th of February last, the Portuguese government, through the Council of Ministers, approved a set of measures aimed at fighting the housing crisis in Portugal. And one of these measures is aimed at the ending of the Golden Visa program that is exclusively aimed at real estate investment, and is not yet known what the scope of this measure is. So we'll have to wait for the draft law to understand. But in the government's interpretation, golden visas are responsible for the existence of real estate speculation. Personally, I consider this measure to be more ideological than logical, and I point out three main reasons for the government's motivation to end the golden visas. First of all, it's a widespread media pressure. Second one is the pressure from the left-wing political parties that blame the golden visa as the main factor of the speculation of the real estate market. And third and last, but I think that it's the most important one, we are having a strong, or at least the government are having a strong pressure from the European Parliament, which they think it will help to fight the money laundering and as well as the terrorist financing. Therefore, the government intends to establish the following regarding the golden visas. For those who intend to apply for a residency permit through the Golden Visa after the entry into force of the law, it will no longer be allowed. For residence permits already granted or applied, until the entry into force of the new law, renewal will only take place if the investment is intended for the investor's own and permanent residence and that of his or her descendant, or the investment is intended for allocation to the rental market on a long-term basis on a minimum of 5 years. Without prejudice to the final version of the law, these measures presented do not have any rationality and practical application, as they will result in the loss of foreign investment and economic development of the country, especially in such a critical area for the country as tourism. Not to mention the important component of the urban rehabilitation of the cities that has been verified until then, and that has been contributed to the healthy rejuvenation of the cities. It is widely known that the housing problem in Portugal is a structural problem of the country, and that the successive governments of the last 30 years have always been aware of and have completely failed to present proposals and solutions or conditions to the private initiative to help to reverse the situation. We are facing the lowest number of the last 15 years regarding offer. And in the last 4 years, of the almost 600,000 properties on the market, only 63,000 were built, which means that for every new house or property that appeared on the market, the demand was to buy 9. To get an idea, in the year 2022, around 170 properties were sold, of which only 1,000 were allocated to Golden Visa program. And in the last 4 years, around 590,000 properties were transacted, sold, of which only 6% were sold to foreigners, and the predominant nationality being the Portuguese, corresponding to the remaining 94% of sales. That said, it should also be noted that the announcement changes to the Golden Visa regime have not been approved as such. As such, changes will depend on the verification of compliance, talking more or less around 90 days, with the following procedure. 30 days, first of all, it's going to be 30 days of public discussion, in which all the relevant stakeholders are invited to give their feedback and assessment on the matter, and it's scheduled for the next 16th of March. After that, the new meeting of the Council of Ministers in order to draft the final proposal to be presented to the Parliament. And third, there will be a discussion and approval by the Parliament and the government, since they have the majority of the Parliament, and therefore can effectively approve the law. But we will have to wait and see to what's going to be the last draft. And once it's approved, the proposal will be discussed by a separate technical commission, which will propose the final draft. Mm-hmm. The final version will then come back to the Parliament for a final approval. And after that, after the approval by the Parliament, it will be sent to the Portuguese President of the Republic. And one of three realities can happen. The president can direct ratification, and in this case, the proposal will become into force, set forth in the proposal, or the president will doesn't accept the proposal and will become into force, set forth, and returns to the Parliament for changes. Or last one, the president of the Republic accepts the document with the request the evaluation of the constitutional accord. So basically, this is my opinion on this matter regarding these Golden Visa changes, and I think we will have some month to discuss what's going on, and yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Armando, for that detailed process and explanation. And Dr. Sandra, what are your thoughts on this matter as well?
Well, all my colleagues already, especially Armando, was explaining how any proposal might come into the steps. The most important thing is meeting for the government was about all the theme around habitation. It was not about at all. So it was one of the measures, but they came out from 10 different measures and they created this package. My colleague said still under. It's even strange to think all the golden visa, different routes of investment of that meeting was about residential property, bring to being affordable to locals, and that's the theme, and that's the problem of our. It's not the same all over Portugal. Residential property had already been withdrawn on the coastline of mainland, but others that are still, it makes still residential property. That's why it's very difficult to understand, taking in consideration that to the different regions of the country, and that's why our president in Madeira of the regional government, to say that for the island it was important, the possibility. But again, this is public displays during it's taking place during. Can imagine that is discussion all over and everywhere. Different groups of investors don't know exactly what will be that on the final proposal of the government 16 March, and after that, what my colleague explained, it still has to go. So there's a lot of different levels and specific on the specific duties according to the different laws that will be approved and still go to the president and stages, and a lot of things can happen. I don't think it will be that easy to pass because it's in different ones. Many are polemic. So forward, we don't see it as straightforward. And let's see what will come up, and especially what really will be the final proposal on the segment one. After, because how would golden visa be helpful? Funds investment, helping to invest habitation in more residential property market. There's a lot of economically, and this absolutely, and another thing, in terms of on the immigration law, there's only one visa, residency by investment, and although the minister ending the golden visa, when the minister of finance told probably keep the investment as a route, which is part of the same program. So in that they were not, very good or not, although they're not saying, well, the golden visa program will. Let's see exactly what will be the and it's very, very difficult to say before.
So, Dr. Sandra, thank you so much. We got the gist. There is a comment there, and we also are facing. There is a little bit of breaking up from your side. Maybe you could reboot. But I got the essence mostly. Some of the things that you mentioned very clearly. Especially when it comes to the recent changes and how this affected, and how this shouldn't really be affecting commercial properties versus residential properties, and also the benefits that it has brought to more inland projects versus the central projects. So these are some of the main highlighted points. Now let me throw some questions so we are getting a lot of questions. We are close to about 30 questions here from several different channels. Let me throw some questions. One of the main questions that we have is there is a precedent here about what happened in Ireland. And recently, as everyone knows, Ireland had shut its golden visa program, which was basically a 1 or 2 million euros investment program, and they shut it overnight and without any notice to any clients. Now the question is, can this happen in Portugal on March 16th? And how much power does the government currently have to make this happen overnight? So this time, why don't we start with Dr. Adriano?
Okay, I don't know exactly how the legal system works in Ireland, but in Portugal that's not possible because in Portugal you have the parliament and you have the government. So the government, that's the one that said that's going to end golden visa. But since the immigration law it's a law done by the parliament, of course the parliament can provide to the government some So the government it's going to start a process in the parliament. Yes, the government in Portugal it's very powerful because the government right now has the majority of the parliament, but it must go to the parliament. So it cannot be 16th of March because even though they have the majority, it continues, as my colleague Armando said previously, it continues to a legal different system. And it might change on this legal process of constructing a new law. And after that, let's assume it's approved. The president can always reject it by political reasons or constitutional reasons. The president might say, okay, I would accept this, but since it's illegal, I would reject this. And let's assume again the president approves. It continues to be possible to be in courts of law to see, to analyze if this project is, let's say, feasible legally or not. So it cannot be the same situation as it happened in Ireland.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Adriano. And Dr. Marley, what are your thoughts on the same subject?
I agree with Dr. Adriano. And if we bear in mind the last changes that when it's not more acceptable, the investments to Lisboa and Porto for housing, okay, they take around until the end of the year we have almost a year to cancel this kind of investments through Lisboa and Porto. In Portugal, it's not common to gave few days or few weeks to make this kind of change, because it's a very dramatic and very serious change in the country, in the law. Okay, and for this reason, we don't know what is in the head of the government. Okay, but considering that they have all this pressure and all this hurry to speed up with this law, I think that it's not common and not usual in Portugal to do it to one day for the other. But it's not possible. But it will take. In my personal opinion, I think that it will take at least until the end of 2023. Okay, it's the minimum that we can accept to all these changes that they want, in my personal opinion, and it taken in consideration the last deadline that they had, that they gave us to the change, the last big change that the program has, that is to not be eligible to invest through Porto and Lisbon. Okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marley, for that excellent response on, because this is the fear that a lot of the clients are facing. From one day to the other, can this be shut down? Is my money at risk? I have never been to Portugal. I
It's
don't
a,
know Portugal.
Rem, it's a very huge for Portugal. It's a very huge change. Okay, and if it is to be and all the paragraph that's eligible for the golden visa program, I think we have expectation to protect, and the government knows that they are investors that are investing, and they are not they cannot be defrauded about the expectation that they have. Okay, and all this kind of interest has to be pondered by the government, and it's not possible to think in this idea and then and end the program one day for each other.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, keeping that in mind, I have another question that I think is very interesting, and maybe this time we'll go to Dr. Armando, which is exactly what he mentioned earlier. You mentioned that there will be a public consultation period. Can you define us what the public consultation period is? Can foreigners participate in this consultation and give their opinion?
Yeah, sure. Basically, what the public discussion means is that everyone interested in this law, and as long as they are citizens, everyone who can register before the platform, the Portuguese platform, can give their opinion to the law, and give some and give their opinion on the matter in question. Basically, the law gives 30 days for the people to establish and to try to understand, to try to give their opinion on the matters that are in discussion, and that's it.
Okay, perfect. So what I'm gathering is that anyone who has an interest on this subject can actually participate in this public consultation by writing on the platforms, on the government platforms. There is a space
Yeah.
for them to reach
Yeah.
out and give their opinion. Okay,
Yes,
perfect,
correct.
perfect, perfect. And Dr. Sandra, what are your thoughts? Public consultation. How does it work in Portugal? Can foreigners participate in this consultation?
It's not my area. I would like to be very and everything that I speak of. This discussion is there. It's public several forms of participating, the government portal, etc. There are, we know that out there that are doing, having meetings. So pressure from different sectors at the moment. That is happening right now. Of these developers, of course, there's a lot in terms of that has impact, and especially now is needing investment as much higher and more complicated to afford. I believe that this shouldn't be the right. Is exactly the opposite. It's investments exactly to other measures, and that's what the focus has to increase the number of residential properties that are one thing, but you try to get them measures, but I don't see how I think the golden visa can really, my colleague was saying, I think it was Amanda said, of the golden visa residential property that was very, very low. A very low percentage that measure. But let's see what will be the.
Absolutely. No, we are all very excited. It's like the Super Bowl that we are waiting for the March of 16th. Very, very excited about this subject. Now let's ask some different questions on investors that are for Golden Visa but also not for Golden Visa. So maybe again we start again with Dr. Adriano. How will the closure of the program affect the Portuguese real estate market?
Yes, I think it's going to be an impact because it's not only the end of the golden visa. If it goes on that way, it's a huge approach from all the house marketing here in Portugal. I am pretty sure that let's assume the golden visa ends because everybody knew that could be. The real estate market in Portugal is going to continue to be improving because there are many houses to do refurbishment. There are many places that must have new conditions for the people that are coming to Portugal. And by the way, I think sometimes Golden Visa has a higher appearance than it has in practice ways. So Golden Visa, it's a minor part of Portugal immigration process. So I think it's going to continue to be the same. I think it's going to be bad for the economy because many people do like to go to Portugal through the Golden Visa, and that's very it's a legitimate way. It's not I do not see any problem. But for the housing markets in Portugal, in construction markets in Portugal, I really think, as far as I think that Golden Visa it's not guilty for the price of the house here in Portugal, I also think that let's assume Golden Visa ends, it's not going to be so effective regarding the market price here in Portugal and the construction market.
Absolutely. So, from what you said, and I gathered, Golden Visa is not the biggest chunk of the real estate investment. It is a small
Not for sure.
chunk. It will not have a significant change of up or down, because investors internationally invest in Portugal, not just for the reasons of Golden Visa, but also the reasons for stability, for growth, for appreciation, for good quality of life, and many other reasons. So this is not the only reason. Just tomorrow tourists will not just stop coming to Portugal just because they don't have the golden visa anymore. So I gather that. Let's jump on to some other questions here which we have. Maybe we ask Dr. Marley. I think this is a favorite question for everyone. And I think all the lawyers face this question at least once a day. So, what is the current wait time for processing of Golden Visa? And if I have applied some time ago, what is like what? When can I expect an answer? And this is, I know the answer to this is an unfortunate answer, but please tell us, what are the current wait times and how is CEF responding to these wait times?
Uh, Raim, nowadays, I think that everyone knows that the time that the immigration authorities is taking to analyze a procedure, okay? And one of the things that I totally agree what with Dr. Adriano, what he said, it's that because the Golden Visa program, it's not so attractive because the immigration authorities is taking too long to analyze a procedure, okay? And normally the golden visa, the investors that wanted to the first idea, it's a golden visa. When we explain the timeline and the procedure, sometimes the investor wants to have other opportunity to come to Portugal because the immigration authority it has been a dramatic situation here in Portugal. Okay, nowadays I don't know if my colleagues had a different experience, but it's a procedure that starts right now. It never took minor than 1 year, 1 year and something. Okay, to be concluded. It's true that we have to deal with normally. We the procedure, we have the investment. Okay, the investor has to make the investment first. We submit the procedure in the immigration authorities to be analyzed, but until we have this first pre-approval phase, okay, with all the changes that immigration authorities, it's been in faced about the government wants to change the name and the complaint that the attributions about the new immigration authorities. Uh, um, it will take not less than 1 year, 1 year and something to have the personal interview. Okay, it starts with investment. We can submit the procedure. Okay, but until we have the personal interview, that it's the last phase before the final approval, it takes around 1 year. I don't know if my colleagues has different experience, but our office it's 1 year, around 1 year.
And Dr. Armando, what are your thoughts on the same subject? What are the average timelines for approval? And even mixing it with this subject, if I apply now, is it more risky because I may not get an approval? before the constitution changes or the law changes. So, what
But
are
it will
your
not
thoughts
be.
on that?
Yeah. So basically, I agree with what Mali was saying regarding the past experience that I had, and I would say that it will take around 1 year, more or less, and sometimes last a little bit less. But since the time that the investor applied for the golden visa until he gets the interview, usually it takes around 1 year, unfortunately. And this this has a reasoning behind, because first of all, as Marli was saying and Adriana was saying as well, the golden visa process is not as attractive as it should be, for all the bureaucratic process and for how long it takes to submit and get the approval on the process. But the reason for this delay is mainly due to the lack of organization at SAF, as well as a lack of human resources to deal with the applications. And on the other hand, the years of the COVID-19 were terrible, and and if the system was already slow, it got slower, and have worsened the timings as well. And the more recent war between Russia and Ukraine, which ended up by getting receiving more than 60,000 requests for temporary residence permits from Ukrainians and Russians, and last year didn't help either. In terms of if the people should or not apply right now for the golden visa while while we're waiting for these changes, and if it will affect or not, I would say that for the investors to apply while they can, because as long as we know, at the moment of the application, the law in force will be applied to the investor and to the application. So I would say to the investors to submit the application right now. As I said previously, we will have some months until we have a final law, and we don't know how much time it will take until it gets into force. I would say, as the government is being pressured by the European Parliament, we will have some sort of news until the end of the year. And I believe that the law will enter into force approximately in the end of the year, because I believe the Portuguese the president will ask for the intervention of the Constitutional Court to oversee even the measures that are applying that will be applying to the golden visa. So I believe if the investors have the opportunity to submit the golden visa, if they have the investment and everything ready to go, and all the documents requirement and all the other requirements are met, I would advise for the investors to go straight away.
Thank you so much, Dr. Armando, for that excellent piece of advice, and how timing works with the CEF space, and timing works with the legislative space, so the people can have, let's say, realistic expectations that it's not make an investment and you have the residency cards. It doesn't work. I think it used to work at some point at the very beginning.
Yes.
True.
Good old days.
Before COVID-19, the
Before-
Golden Visa platform works wonderfully.
Absolutely. It's now a little bit of a rusty golden visa, not the more sparkling one that we had back in the day. So and as compared to any other country, I believe the popular the program becomes, it does become cumbersome for any government, any agency to cope up with so many applications, so many demands, so many different nationalities. I mean, let's be honest, the CEF is a body that receives hundreds and hundreds of phone calls on a daily basis, and they speak to many people. So I mean, I should say I'm a developer and I'm on the beneficiary on one side, but also I feel for the immigration people who face questions every single day. So, and at the end of the day, they are also still human beings, that are doing their best at their jobs and trying to do as fast as possible what they possibly can. So it has to be a balance. So the expectations has to be very clear, I believe, for the clients. And thank you so much for that, Dr. Armando, Dr. Marley, to provide that. So another question, and this time I'll ask Dr. Sandra to chime in. And the question here is right here. Okay, perfect. So the question is, what about golden visa investments in the area of tourism, for example, hotels? Will they also be affected? So you mentioned something earlier, so please go for it.
And you are to answer. We heard the government would end the program, an exception of cultural investment. But we are not clear with what will be, if it will end totally for investment route. At least we don't know. It doesn't make sense under the problem. That was the only theme of that, and they came out with those six. My colleague or Manuel is saying that might ask for the constitution check of the method, because not only immigration, it's a package of six of them are very controversial. The president will agree with all of that. There'll be a lot discussed until it really, and again, as my colleague also said, it's many times that we had in our immigration had a period that after gave a month, almost a year the last time in force. We don't know what's going to happen, when we will have the final law, if they will give this time to adapt to, specifically in this case. I wanted to point out, because we were talking about something that is important for the audience. We never, in every, it was only applicable to those submit. It's not about approval, but submit. We've been telling us law still, it doesn't exist. It doesn't even the government. So we can till the very last day before the, because it never will affect submitted. All the for the final approval. That's another thing with how the immigration is very well about for the number of, because they had programs at the same time. So it will delay, and I agree with my colleagues. I think the biometrics appointment is taking. We still have to wait. They will still have to build the final longer that nowadays pandemic. And you were talking. Remember the first client, golden visa client back. It was in 3 weeks. Had the final approval. That was everything until we get the resident buffer on that at the moment.
Gone are the golden days there. Yeah. Absolutely. No, thank you. So that defines a lot of it, and I think really what you're also saying is comes down to really the final announcement, and also the printing of the law and the printing of the bill, how it is worded and what it is interpreted as. Also, as super clear at current moment, which also tells us that we will be doing another one of these webinars shortly after we have a more concrete bill on hand for the interpretation and for our clients to understand what is actually going to happen or what could actually go happen. So of course tune in for that. Now let's go on to another question which I think is very, very important, and this time maybe I'll take Dr. Marley to answer this as well. So here is the question, and it says, so if we submit the application and law comes out after, will the application be rejected? So what are your thoughts?
So regarding, as Sandra and my other colleague said, we have to, until we have the law and the decree law saying what it will happen with the procedures. It's only then when we have a final version of this document and the information that will want be provided after the law. However, if in my personal opinion, okay, if the investor applies for the golden visa now, okay, and then in the concession, okay, we will not have problems, okay, to the concession. The renewal, it's another a different issue, okay, because the government could say that the renewals it's only for housing, for example, okay. In the concession, I think, in my personal opinion, I think that the concession will be not the problem, okay, because the government will not cancel or make the law with the effects through now, for example, because it's not possible, okay, it's not allowed. However, for the renewals after the 2 years, okay, we could have some other requirements to fulfill to change to renew the golden visa. But I think that will be very, very discussed, because normally when we put submit application right now, okay, there are expectation from the investor that we will have the golden visa through the 5 years. And in the beginning of the regime, the investor signs a compromise of honor saying that he will maintain the investment for the 5 years. So the investor has expectation to renew the investment until these 5 years, okay. They are very controversial. It's one of our concerns. It's how the law will be applicable in this stage, okay. One idea that it's 100% sure and clear is that at today, okay, until we have another day, the law is still in force, and the law allows the investors to apply for the golden visa. The law allows the investor to make the application, okay. How the government will do the renewals and how the government will write the law about regarding the procedure, we will have to wait to check what will be the next steps.
Absolutely. That, I think that was very clear, and which is what we're saying. Like the announcement, that was made at the moment. The law is the law. It has not changed. There is no difference from what it was towards the beginning of January or before the announcement to what the law is today. And I think the advice really, which I repeat, is if you have the possibility of making the application now, please go ahead and do so and get it done. Now that brings us to another question, which I will ask, and I think here is somewhere where I can add some value also. So it says, at which point I can be sure that I'm safe to apply for golden visa? Let's say I signed a contract with a company, and after a month, government stops the golden visa. How can we mitigate the risks? So why don't we chime in? We are a real estate developer. We have projects that are eligible for golden visa. both in the category of 500,000, which is a brand new property, and also in the category of 280,000 that are in the refurbishment category, in the rehabilitation category. And we have projects that are in the touristic, so it's commercial, it's not residential. We do not do residential properties at all. We only do commercial properties. So if the law comes as more geared towards residential, which is what we think it may be, because that is what the government is trying to overcome, which is the residential housing crisis. In fact, it should be the other way around, where they want to encourage more commercial investments like hotels, and to curb, the number of tourists that comes in, and not having good quality, enough good quality hotels. So they should actually increase, I believe, the personal opinions, that increase the and encourage the commercial investments, while of course naturally discourage the residential investments, especially in the core areas. So the question is, when you sign a contract and if the government stops the golden visa, well, in our contract, we have now started to put that if your golden visa is rejected because of this legislation change, then you have a 100% refund of your investment. Basically, that is your insurance now. That is the contract, that you will not lose your money because of the fact that legislation has been changed. And so we know the mindset of the investors. You are investing largely to get your golden visa, and not for maximizing your returns, or just because this is like the best investment in the world. You are making these investments with a purpose, and if you're not able to fulfill that purpose, then you must receive a 100% refund on the investment that you've made. So this is what we have done to mitigate the risks that you have, especially with our project. I cannot, of course, vouch the same if you purchase an apartment somewhere, or if you invest in some other land project or hotel project, and then you are cut off because that particular seller or that particular developer may not have the liquidity or the bandwidth to do what we can do as a powerful group of companies. So this is very important for you as a client to learn about the project, to know about the project, and talk to the experts before you make that investment. So this is what our contribution here is. We always keep abreast on the knowledge and the know-how of the local programs. We are always connected with the legal community, so that the investors that we bring to the country are protected, and their monies are protected to the best of our abilities, of course. And that's what we are trying to do. We are trying to make sure, so that you are aware. Currently, there is a hanging date of March the 16th, which we are, as a company, trying to achieve really as a deadline. So if you have the capacity for that investment, we say go ahead. We have a full legal support team here, several different lawyers who can represent you, from golden visa to corporate to legal to so many commercial areas. So please reach out to the experts in the market that have this kind of expertise, and speak with us and learn more about it, and be comfortable, and then make the investment if it is possible for you. So that's all I have for today. We have several other questions, but I think largely we have covered the gist in the questions that is answered today from several different representatives. We will share the video recording and the email addresses and the contacts of all the lawyers and ourselves. So please feel free to reach out directly and have your questions answered. If you have more, or if you have more personal questions that you cannot ask today on the webinar, please ask the questions directly. Thank you very much again to the panelists for your time and for your expertise. Really appreciate it, and hopefully we will hear from you very shortly before or close to March 16th. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.